HBO has released the second episode of House of the Dragon Season 2, which picks up immediately after the events of the Season 2 premiere. So I will be spoiling some details about both episodes, meaning that if you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, you should turn this video off now and go on to watch House of the Dragon instead. But in the moments following Prince Jaehaerys' murder, the Red Keep is in complete chaos. King Aegon is angry and declaring war on the entirety of King's Landing. Prince Aemond is nowhere to be found. Alicent and Criston Cole are walking around with a guilty conscience. And while everyone else is in total shock and disbelief, Otto is actually coming up with a plan to use Jaehaerys' death to his own benefit. Yes, even in his supposed grief, Otto Hightower plans to spin the murder of a child, of his own great-grandson no less, as a good thing. Because even though Rhaenyra had nothing to do with Jaehaerys' death, Otto sees an opportunity to tarnish her image by proclaiming that she is a child killer. And by displaying Jaehaerys' body in a public funeral procession, the people now see Rhaenyra as Rhaenyra the Cruel. Even her own council doesn't believe that she wasn't involved with Jaehaerys' death. But Rhaenyra figures out that Daemon was actually responsible for this heinous crime, and the two get into a very heated debate, one that ends with Daemon flying off to Harrenhal. So Rhaenyra's position in Westeros is weakened, as Otto successfully turned the entire kingdom against her. But Otto's success doesn't last very long, because as soon as Aegon finds out that a rat catcher was actually responsible for his son's death, he hangs every rat catcher employed in the Red Keep and displays their dead bodies for all to see. This naturally causes plenty of people to mourn for the innocent lives of their loved ones. So all the goodwill that Otto has built up with the common folk is now lost. This, in turn, starts a fight between Aegon and Otto, where Otto calls the king a feckless, self-indulgent, and insolent pup. Aegon then asks Otto to remove his badge as Hand of the King and bestows that honor to Criston Cole instead. Which should be interesting. After all, Cole has been proven to be an emotionally stunted oathbreaker who is also sleeping with the king's mom, so I'm sure nothing will go wrong there. But I understand why Aegon is making regrettable decisions so hastily. He's in pain. His son was just murdered, and all anyone seems to care about is keeping up with public appearances. His own mother won't even console him when he breaks down crying. And he didn't even ask for any of this. He never wanted to be king, but now Aegon has to suffer because Otto couldn't bear the thought of having a girl sit upon the Iron Throne. And even if he did do what he thought was best for the realm, now that Aegon is no longer under his control, I'm sure Otto is starting to have some regrets of his own. But even for all of Aegon's faults, I do appreciate when the show takes the time to show us his humanity. Like in the last episode, Aegon seemed to be genuinely interested in doing some good for the common folk. Sure, the scene proved how incompetent he is at being a king who needs to rule over his subjects, but it also proved that he has a heart. And moments like these prove to us that Aegon isn't a full-blown monster like Joffrey. He's far more complex than that. Shit, even Aemond has a vulnerable moment in this episode, allowing us to see how he really feels on the inside. He's distraught over the fact that he barely escaped death, he's remorseful for having mistakenly killed Luke, he's clearly still traumatized from being bullied as a child, and he's clearly emotionally stunted as well, since he's sharing all of this information with a random stranger in a brothel. This scene shows us how literally frail Aemond really is, even in spite of all of the strength that he projects. But the episode ends with a big action scene as Sir Eric impersonates his twin brother Eric at Dragonstone in order to try to kill Rhaenyra. I guess Kristen Cole had been watching plenty of TV shows lately, since he had the brilliant idea of using a twin brother to his advantage. But his idea almost works, as Eric does get pretty close to Rhaenyra, but Eric manages to intervene before any damage is done. So the two brothers fight in a battle that confuses everyone around them, since no one can really tell who is who. But it doesn't really matter which brother is which, because no matter who ended up winning this fight, both brothers were destined to lose. And that's exactly what ends up happening. One brother cannot live with having killed the other, so he commits suicide and both brothers end up dying. It's a great scene, one that captures the essence of this entire war in general. I just wish that we got to spend a little more time with these two brothers, because I feel like their deaths probably could have been a little more impactful. And as fun as it is watching the Greens and the Blacks going tit for tat with each other, I'm ready for the real shit to start to go down. I'm ready to see the war that everybody is bracing for, and I'm ready to see the dance of the dragons. So I cannot wait to see what happens in the next episode of House of the Dragon once it gets released on Sunday evening.